受伤我们，
And
使我们受伤。
now we have to figure out in life who are safe and who are not safe.
所以在生命里面，我们要学习的有智慧，能够分辨谁是安全，谁是不安全。
So I really hope that one, if you have been hurt, that you can forgive and be healed.
那我很希望，就透过我们这个学习呢，如果你曾经受伤，我们可以靠着神的力量来饶恕，也在他的里面接受医治。
But part of that healing is now understanding safe and unsafe people and setting your correct boundaries.
那得到医治的过程，也是学习分辨什么是好的安全的人，什么是不安全的人，还有我们自己有哪些安全的地方，哪些不安全的地方，然后求神来改变我们。
Before we talked about those who are abandoners,
那我们之前有做一个复习有一些人就是
those who are critics,
会指责人的人，
and those who are irresponsible.
不负责任的人。
And you do have to analyze: Are you these people?
那我们在学习过程当中，不是只是专注于他人，而是我们要审查自己，我们是否有这样子的倾向，
Or maybe you've been hurt by these people.
或是呢，我们是否曾经被这样子的人受伤过？
Then we went through personal traits of unsafe people, and one is they think they have it all together.
那有一些这些倾向呢，就是有一些不安全的人，他可能觉得说我什么我都没事，我都很好，
And don't admit their weaknesses.
很难承认他们的缺点。
We talked about those who are religious instead of spiritual,
我们也谈到很受法律主义的人，
those who are defensive.
自卫的人。
And today we get to this one.
然后今天呢，我们从这里开始。
Unsafe people are self-righteous instead of humble.
那不安全的人常常自以或是以为自以为是，而不是自以为骄傲。
So this type of person lives by your works instead of God's works.
那有这样心态的人，他可能都觉得靠我自己的努力，是我自己能够成就，而非上帝的恩典。
You're trying to earn people's love.
我们一直靠着我们自己的努力，想要取得人的接纳，人的接受我们。
But we have to trust in God for our acceptance.
但是我们身为基督徒却要把我们的信靠放在耶稣基督，以恩典接受我们。
So Jesus has a great parable about the self-righteous person.
那耶稣在这里也谈到一个比喻，在路加18章。
I'm going to read this real quick in English, and then we're going to go to Chinese. To some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on others, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee, the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself praying, "Oh God, I thank you that I'm not like these other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector." And there was a tax collector there. "I fast twice a week. I give 1/10 of all I get." But the tax collector, he stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven. But he beat his breast and said, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." I tell you that one man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted.
路加福音18章9至10节，耶稣向那些仗着自己是义人、藐视别人的设一个比喻，说有2个人上殿里去祷告，一个是法利赛人，一个是税吏。法利赛人站着自言自语的祷告说：“神啊，我感谢你，我不像别人勒索、不义、奸淫，也不像这个税吏。我1个礼拜进食2次，把我所得的都捐上1/10。那税吏也远远的站着，连举目望天也不敢，只垂着胸说：神啊，开恩可怜我这个罪人。我告诉你们，这人回家去，比那倒算为义的人，因为凡自高的必降为卑，自卑的必升为高。”
So a safe person is more of, wow, I'm a sinner.
比较安全的人是
Interesting.
有自觉心，我是一个罪人，
They admit they have some issues.
自己承认自己有很多的问题，
And they ask for mercy. They ask for forgiveness.
也寻求神的怜悯、神的帮助。
But the self-righteous person, what they'll do is they'll start pointing the finger, and actually they'll bring shame upon others.
那自以为义的人常常会使人得收配其他的人，数落其他的人。
So I do want to get to this, and I apologize. Whoops. This is in. It's in English, but I'm going to try to get it here going. We're going to.
Because my security, my rest is not in my righteousness. It's in the righteousness of Christ. And so we can be open and humble and approachable. Now we can begin to deal with our mess. What it allows is these two character qualities, the character qualities of any healthy relationship. Here's the first one. The humility of approachability. I become an approachable person because I'm resting in a righteousness that's not mine. Second character quality is the courage of loving honesty. I'm not afraid to speak the truth to you because I'm not actually afraid of your rejection. Because my well-being is not in your acceptance. My well-being is in the acceptance that was purchased by righteous Christ for me. And so we can be humbly approachable and we can be courageously honest. And that means we now begin to deal with all the things that so many people cannot talk about.
那崔牧师他这里谈到，就说有两个人格的一个特点，一个就是谦卑的人我很谦卑，我就不会害怕的跟你坦诚我生命里面有哪些问题，我有哪些缺点。那也因为他愿意谦卑下来，跟弟兄姐妹分享，跟神的面前诚实，所以呢，我们就可以彼此接近，然后呢，彼此鼓励来做应该的改变。第二个呢，就是很诚实的面对自己。那当我们很诚实面对着自己，我们不是害怕我自己不够，我做得不好，人没有办法接纳我，而是在耶稣基督里面我已经被接纳了，他是爱我的神，所以呢，因着他的爱，我可以靠着他的爱，让他来改变我，然后呢，跟我们周遭的人也改变我们的关系。
So, we always end with, are you the Pharisee?
那我们要来也自问自己，就是我们是否是有这样子的一种自以为是的倾向
Or are you in a relationship, or have you been in a relationship that hurts you like this?
或是曾经有过一个关系，或正在处于一个关系当中，常常跟这种自义的人在一起，所以你觉得常常很受伤。
They're always kind of looking down on you.
因为呢，这自义的人常常会就是把你的行为、你的个人为人放大镜的来判断你。
So you never feel safe.
让你觉得很不安全。
The next one is unsafe people only apologize instead of changing.
那第二个，下一个就是说不安全的人只会道歉，但是呢拒绝改变行为。
I was previously with a person who kind of taught that it's better to just go ahead and do it and say sorry later.
那我之前曾经在一个关系里面，然后呢跟这个人相处的时候，他常常说不管什么你先做，然后呢再道歉。
So what they were teaching was, I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't care.
他其实所想要这个表达的就是我只是顾及我想要的。
And I'm not really sorry.
我其实不是那么的抱歉。
That was an unsafe person.
这样的人不是很安全。
Meilon and I, we recently had this discussion.
那过去这段时间我们有这样子的一个对话。
Kind of like, why do you keep doing the same thing? I will tell you who said that.
对话当中就是为什么你老是就是重蹈覆辙，一直做同样的事情？
Do you have any intentions in changing?
那你到底有没有诚心想要做改变？
So the Bible has a word for this. It's repent or to turn.
那圣经里面有这样子的教导，就是我们要悔改。悔改的意思就是要转变。
And it's 180 degrees.
是180度的转变。
But so many times, we do the 360 like, oh, I'm sorry.
但是我们常常不会做180度的转变，而是360度。我们说了，又再重做一次。
So again, like safe people will say sorry, and then you can see them trying to change a little bit. They're not perfect.
那安全的人至少他道歉了之后，他会很诚心的想要做一个改变。当然他不可能是完美，但是至少他的心知道说我做错了，我伤害了人，我需要做改变。
Again, I encourage you to, if you're going to change, you need to come up with a plan.
那如果我们要有实际的改变的话，我们有一个计划。
You got to have accountability.
那会有对某个人负责。
You actually got to do something.
那我们要赋予行动。
And you got to have that motivation, and that could be love or from Jesus.
那这个动力，我们刚才谈到，主这么爱我们啊，是我们改变的动力。
Now, a lot of times people will only change because they get caught.
那很多时候呢，人不是真心的要改变，而是他可能被抓到了，
Not because they love you.
不是因为他真正的爱你、在乎你。
So, again, it's hard to figure out, are they safe or not safe? They said they would change, but it takes time, and then we see maybe they never do.
所以有些时候我们也要花时间来观察人的言行是否一致，不能说我们嘴巴讲的跟我们行出来的不一致的时候，就不是很真心。所以我们要在判断是不是安全的人的时候，需要有这样子的智慧。
So again, are you this person? Are you an unsafe person?
那当然，我们有些时候问我们自己，我是否是有这样子不安全的这种倾向？
Have you been in a relationship with someone like this?
或是呢在我们的人际关系当中，有人我们正在跟这样子的人相处。
And each of these, I do encourage you to do these steps.
那当然，我们面对每一个这个事项的时候，其实帮助很大。如果我们把它很清楚的写下来，
Write down the person,
写这个人的名字，
what they did,
他们做了什么，或是你做了什么。
and now the boundaries you need to set.
那我们需要设定什么样子的界限？
We call this living in reality.
活在事实里面。
Oh, they'll change one day.
或是我们只能够有时候盼望他有一天会改变。
20 years later.
20年之后。
So you want to live in reality.
所以呢我们希望他们改变为他们祷告，但是还是要活在当下当中。
Now, just real quick, when we say boundaries,
当我们谈到设定界限，
it'd be something like this. Let me give you an example.
让我给你一个比喻。
I'm just going to use Meilon.
来做比喻。
Meilon, I love you.
没啦，我爱你。
But I notice that you say sorry, but then you never really change.
我常常发觉你会跟我道歉，但是你都没有真正的改变。
I need you to stop saying sorry.
我需要你能够不要再一直道歉，
And I need you to change.
而是注重于改变。
I am looking for the actions, not the words.
我不只是在乎你讲什么，我更在乎你做什么。
Okay. And so that's just a way to have a conversation. Now, that's not easy.
那当然，这个对话不是很容易，
But you're making things clear.
但是至少我们很清楚的表达出来。
And yeah, I'm going to stop there because you will have to take that conversation further.
那我们不会再继续，但是当你有在这样对话的时候呢，要很清楚的列出来。
Again, I'm telling you what the book has said. So the next one is unsafe people avoid working on their problems instead of dealing with them.
那很多不安全的人呢，他也会回避解决问题只是想应付了事。
This is very similar to the previous one.
这个跟上一个很接近。
So we're just going on to number 7.
然后我们到下一个。
Number 7, unsafe people demand trust instead of earning it.
那常常不安全的人会要求别人信任自己，却不愿意去赢得别人的信任。
Again, a person I used to have a relationship with, when I would counsel people, they would ask me to share whatever the person I counseled shared about them.
那我曾经有这样子的经验，就是说呢，我在辅导人的过程当中呢，有人会需要我向他报告我辅导的过程。
It was confidential.
那当然，这辅导的过程是保密的。
But the person above me tried to force me to tell what they said.
但是我的主管却常常要有点施加压力，要我分享这个辅导的过程。
They wanted information.
他们想要得到一些资讯。
And they wanted to control people by that information.
拿这些资讯来控制人。
They would meet with people individually.
他会跟你独自见面。
You know, and so instead of like meeting with all of the staff, they would meet with people one by one.
那也许同工们一起开会，但是他会常常不是同工们一起开会，而是跟同工们单独的开会。
What did she say?
那个同工说什么
What did he say?
他说什么
Get the information.
然后收集资讯。
Okay, go back.
好，回去。
Now we'll get the next person.
好，下一个。
What did he say?
他说什么
What did she say?
他说什么
Some of you have been hurt by broken trust.
那也许我们当中常常有人已经经历过我们的信任被破碎。
It is the number one character we need in relationships.
那没有信任的基础，很难建立关系。
When trust is broken, it's hard to have healthy relationships.
当信任被破碎的时候，我们就没有办法维持一个健康的关系。
Meilon, when she was young and growing up, had many relationships that broke trust.
我的原先家庭成长背景过程当中，经历了很多信任的破碎。
This affects our relationship.
那也常常影响到我们两个之间的关系。
I grew up in a home where it was very safe.
我生长在一个很健全的家庭里面。
So when I met Meilon,
所以当我们刚认识的时候，
it's like, come on, let's go.
说我们一起走。
Oh, don't you trust me?
你不信任我吗？
She's like, no.
为什么要信任你？
She's like, no. I'm like, why? I haven't done anything wrong.
你为什么不信任我？没做啥。
Anytime we talk about trust, we have to put actions with it.
那我们要记得，就是说我们谈到信任的时候，我们要跟行动连接在一起。
You can trust words,
我们可以信任人的
or
话
you
语，
can trust actions.
还是你要信任人的这个行动。
Which is more
行
important?
事为人，哪一个比较重要？你觉得？
The actions. So the problem with actions is it takes a while.
但是呢，我们要观察一个人做事的方式的时候，就需要时间观察，对吗？
So it takes a while to understand, can you trust the person?
所以我们需要有一点时间观察，有智慧的来判断这个人值不值得我们的信任。
Is any person perfect?
有人是完美的吗？没有人
No.
是完美的。
So understand the difference between broken trust and mistakes.
所以我们也要来分辨信任的破碎跟就是说这个人他不是故意的违背我们的信任，这是需要智慧去分辨的。我们每一个人都不是完美，我们一定会犯错，不管是我们有意还是无意的，这是人之常情，对不对？但破碎的信任是有些人是故意某种行为来破坏了你的信任。
Got some addition. Are you this person who demands trust? But
那我们是否是这样子的？常常会觉得说你要信任我。
and my guess is there's many here who have been hurt by those who have broken trust.
那我们可能都有相同的经验我们的信任就是被破坏了。
So again, you need to go through writing their name, how they broke the trust, and now the boundaries you want to set.
那把这些名字写下来行为写下来，还有呢，帮助我们要设定什么样子的界限来保护自己。
The next one is unsafe people believe they are perfect instead of admitting their faults.
那下一个就是说呢，不安全的人相信自己是完美的，然后呢，不愿意去承认自己的缺点。
Okay, this is American Barbie and her boyfriend Ken.
Bobby 跟 Ken，
Is that Bobby? Bobby. This is an example of the perfect couple.
那这是一个完美夫妻的形象，
At least in public.
至少在公众场合，他们是这样子的形象。
But behind closed doors,
但是呢，在家门里面，
we all know the truth.
我们都知道真理是什么，对不对？事实是什么？
So believe it or not, this was before Facebook.
这是在脸书之前，
Can you believe that?
相信吗？
Because now Facebook is all about, look how my perfect life is.
然后呢，现在我们很多的媒体平台都是
Look at
大
my
家看我
vacation.
完美的生命，我完美的假期，
Look at my kids.
我的孩子们。
If you portray the perfect person, you start to become unsafe because everyone knows you're not perfect.
那如果我们掉到了这种思维里面，觉得说我们必须要维持我们完美的形象的时候，在这个过程当中，我们会变成不安全。为什么？因为我们只在乎我们维持我们的形象，而且我们知道事实并非如此。
I remember one family in our previous church had 4 children.
那我记得我们曾经牧会的时候有一个4个人的家庭，
And wow, were they put together well.
那这一家4口外面看起来真的很完美，
But something you knew was a little off.
但是呢，你跟他们相处的时候，你就觉得有些事情不太对劲。
And as you got to know the family more, there was deep, deep hurt.
然后当你越来越认识他们的时候，你就发觉其实他们生命里有很多很深的伤痛。
Somehow the mother and father
父母亲这夫妻
really went after the first daughter
把很大的压力放在他们的大女儿身上，
and would tell her things like, you're ugly.
然后常常会跟大女儿说你很丑，
You'll never amount to anything.
没有用。
So this daughter, she did some crazy things.
然后呢，开始我们慢慢的这个女儿有一些反抗。
Perfect people are unsafe.
完美的人不是很安全的。
And many of these actually come because people are insecure.
那我们其实，在维持完美形象的后面，其实是一个很没有安全感的一个内心。
Unsafe people are insecure.
不安全的人，其实他很缺乏自信。
The way to be secure is to know Jesus loves you.
那有安全感是来自于我们完全相信并且接纳神爱我们的心。
Even when you make mistakes.
就算当我们犯错的时候、犯罪的时候，神仍然是爱着我们。
Even when you wake up in the morning and your hair is not perfect.
当你早起的时候，口臭、头发很乱，上帝还是非常的爱你。
And so again, the questions are you this unsafe person?
我们要问自己，我们是否有这样子不安全的这些倾向？
Or do you admit your imperfections or faults?
或是我们是否愿意承认我没有办法这个维持这个完美的形象？
Okay. And you know, you could have been hurt by a parent or a spouse that really likes to make you perfect.
那也许我在我们成长背景过程当中，或者我们过去的经验当中，常常有这种压力，需要维持这么完美的形象。
Because you're kind of like, I just can't do it.
但是你自己本身的认知就是说，不管我多努力，我就是做不到。
Now I know many of you here are very close to being perfect. But
我知道在座很多人已经很接近完美。
I know I'm not. So I love the church, I love the church. Everybody bought the shirt that says, "No perfect people here."
很喜欢有一个教会它有一个衬衫，这里这衬衫就是说，在教会里面没有完全完美的人，
Just a fact.
事实。
On we go. Number 9, unsafe people blame others, the finger pointing, instead of taking responsibility. We've kind of talked about this.
那不安全的人有些时候只会指责别人，却不愿意去承担自己的责任。
Okay. So this is, they say that phrase where, if you blame others, you got the 3 fingers sort of pointing back at you.
那常常我们指责别人的时候，我们有3个指母是指向自己的。
Now this has been going on for a long time.
那这已经发生很久了。
Who was the first couple to blame?
那指责最早会指责人的是谁？
Adam and Eve. So Eve blames the snake.
夏娃说是蛇的错。
And then Adam blames Eve.
亚当说是夏娃的错。
Okay, so no one took responsibility.
没有人愿意承担责任。
We need to take responsibility.
靠着神的恩典，我们需要为自己负责。
Some of you have really been hurt in life.
那我们可能都曾经有这样的经历，在生命里面得到很深的伤。
I am very sorry for that.
我真的对你所受的伤感到抱歉。
But that hurt cannot stop you from taking responsibility for your own life.
但是就算我们受了伤，但是我们这个伤我们还是需要为自己的生命来负责，而不是让这个伤成为我们生命的借口。
You can't live as a victim.
我们没有办法一直活在受害者的这种心态下。
Can't live as an orphan.
我们也不是神救我们，不是要我们活在这个孤儿的心态下。
Can't live every day by throwing a pity party.
或是在这种自爱自怜的心态下。
Safe people in relationships take responsibility.
安全的人，我们在关系里面不愿意为自己负责。
Don't enable your children or your spouse to blame others or not take responsibility.
那在家里的互动当中，我们要小心，不要让我们的配偶或是我们的孩子常常觉得，不是我的错，都是人家的错。
So again, are you this type of person?
那我们自己是否有在这样子的倾向里面挣扎？
Or are you safe and you take responsibility?
还是靠着主的恩典，我愿意可以承担为自己的生命负责。
I would like to ask, but how many of you grew up with alcoholic a parent?
那如果我们当中有人在这种酗酒的家庭里面长大，
How many of you had a parent who left your family or you?
或是呢，其中的一位父母离开了你的家庭。
Now, this is an example of those who are not taking responsibility.
那这就是这些不愿意为自己生命负责的一个例子。
I'm sure they had excuses.
当然，我们不是没有看见你的伤，也没有就是说我们知道你的伤害，但是呢伤害不能够成为我们生命的借口。
But that has affected you.
但是也因为这些伤也带给你很深的影响。
And now might make you an unsafe person.
因为这些伤我们没有去面对，所以我们也不知不觉的成为不安全的人。
The next one is unsafe people lie instead of telling the truth.
那不安全的人常常会说谎，而不愿意面对事实，说实话。
Okay, again, we talked about honesty or trust is the foundation of relationships.
那我们谈到就是说呢诚实是安全关系的基础。
If people lie, they break trust.
当然，我们说谎的时候，我们就破碎了信任，
They become unsafe.
就成为不安全。
Meilon, when she was, about 13, 14, 15, got into a relationship in Florida with a couple called Ernest and Jane.
那我在成长的过程当中呢爸爸妈妈有一个那个做生意的伙伴 Ernest and Jane。
And I don't know if you want to tell the story or if you want me to.
所以我们开了一个这个东方的家具店，然后呢这对老夫妻老太太就因为妈妈在台湾，然后呢继父在美国，所以呢他们就教我开车在青少年的这段时间，但是我们生意开了一年之后，他们就要求我的母亲以双倍的价钱把他们的合伙买回来。那我妈说我的钱都已经投资在这个家具店里面了，所以她就告我。
应该翻译。
So I was 16 or 17. We had my mom was coming to the States, and so they got into a business partnership with this retired couple from Michigan, Ernest and Jane. And a year into the partnership, they asked my mom to pay back their partnership double the price that they bought in. And in that process, they were kind of like my mentor, take care of me, taught me how to drive. But in the end, they really saw that they could take advantage of us. So they took us to court where she couldn't have the money to buy double the money of their partnership back.
Now there's a lot of different ways to lie.
那我们说谎话有好几种，很多方式。
You can give a half truth.
你可以说一半的谎言。
You can sometimes people do this. They just don't say anything. You ask them a question, they never answer.
或是呢，你可以选择沉默，就不回答。
And sometimes there's underlying schemes and deceptions.
那当然也是有刻意的这个说谎或是诈欺。
Some of you know Pinocchio. I think where's that? Is that French or somewhere in Europe? So whenever he would lie, his nose would galbitsen.
他每次说谎的话，鼻子就长得很大。
And his dream was to become a real boy.
那小木偶他的梦想就是想成为一个真正的男孩。
But when he would lie, he couldn't become a real boy.
但是每次说谎，他就没有办法成为一个真正的男孩。
And I think there's a good lesson in that. You can't have a real relationship if people are lying.
如果谎言没有办法让我们有一个安全关系。
I don't know if any of you know who this guy is.
大家认不认识这个自行车手？
Lance Armstrong. Look at that smile.
看他多帅的笑容。
And I've seen some interviews with this guy.
然后呢，我看过他很多的访问。
Man, was he a smooth talker.
很会。
Smooth
花言巧
talker.
语。
Nice smile. Wow, he could be a politician.
他可以成为一个政治家。
But he won the most difficult bicycling race in the world 7 times. That's why he's going like this 7 times.
他赢了世界自行车的这个第7次都赢了冠军。
He had testicular cancer. He had cancer.
还有那个睾丸的癌症，也经历了睾丸的癌症。
He recuperated.
然后复原。
Well, the whole time he was doping.
但是最主要就是在比赛的这个过程当中呢，他都在作弊。
So all 7, he was doping.
他得注射药物，然后换血氧。
And he would write books and I trained at elevation.
刚开始的时候还没有被发现的时候，他常常就接受很多的访问。
I have an oxygen tent. I mean, he had all these things, but he was a liar, which made him up.
都是谎言。
Again, train yourself to tell the truth,
那我们要训练自己说实话，
even if it hurts you.
就算我们会伤害到自己。
I'm going to say that one more time. Train yourself to tell the truth and be honest, even if it hurts yourself.
那我们要训练自己说实话，就算会伤害到自己。
If not, you will become an unsafe person.
要不然的话，我们常常会成为一个不安全的人。
Again, maybe some of you have been in a relationship with people who have lied to you.
我们也许都经历过，曾经被欺骗过。
And a lot of times, again, these are like half-truths. This is like not telling the whole story.
那有些时候我们说一半的谎言，其实也是谎言，对不对？
Okay. And the last one we have is very similar to others. Unsafe people are stagnant instead of growing, and instead of changing.
那最后就是说呢，不安全的人会停滞不前，不愿意成长。
I'd just like to read these off to you. Unsafe people only change when it's advantageous for themselves.
那很多不安全的人，他愿意改变，只是因为他在改变的过程当中，他会得到益处。
Again, that's an unsafe person.
这是不安全人的特质。
Unsafe people change for the moment, but then when the circumstances change, they go back.
所以在当下，如果对他有益的话，他可以做一个改变；但是如果他发觉对我完全没有益处的话，他就再回到原来的习惯当中。
Unsafe people change when they're forced to a lot of times.
那不安全的人常常会改变，因为他被逼到一个地步，他没有办法，他就会改变。
So all these 1 through 11, all these unsafe people, you need to identify and then set boundaries.
那
Speak the truth.
对我们这些所看的这一系列的这些特质呢，其实是要帮助我们懂得去分辨，分辨之后，我们要来设定界限。
We'll continue to speak a little bit about unsafe people in the next, I think we have 1, 2, maybe 3 more sessions. But this is our questions for today. It's just, you're going to get into groups and then ask, are you these type, I didn't put that right, but are you one of these unsafe people? Or were you in a relationship with one of these unsafe people? And so you're sort of sharing a bit of your life story. And that may be painful, but sharing a lot of times can bring freedom.
那我们现在要来分小组，然后我们可以跟弟兄姐妹一起分享，就是说我们在对这些不安全的特质当中，我们有没有哪些自己正在挣扎当中，或是呢，我们曾经有过这样子的经验？当然，今天的小组分享呢，会也是因为我们愿意去分享这些事情，让我们能够彼此更了解，然后呢得到医治。
So I'm going to take, if you'd like to speak English over here.